My name is Neil Makija. Thank you. I had the honor of serving previously as executive director of Impact, now serve on the board and as president. And I just want to tell you, it is hard to put on the show, the summit, the gala, the first ever day on the Hill with 150 people reaching our members of Congress. Give it up to the Impact staff, to Chintan Patel, who's doing an extraordinary job, who's taking us to the next level. You weren't kidding, Indrani. I really can't see anyone up here. But we have a really fantastic award that we get to deliver at the gala every year. And as Deepak Raj, our visionary co-founder, announced in his introduction, he said when Impact was first founded, we only had 50 South Asians or Indian Americans in office across the board, across the entire country. We now have 350. And this award, the Dalip Singh Saund Award, in recognition of the first Indian American, first South Asian ever to hold office as a member of Congress in the 50s in California, is the award where we pick one of those elected officials and recognize their example, their persistence, their resilience, their commitment to fighting for the American dream. And so while we've gone from 50 to 350, it's made giving this award a little bit harder every year. But this awardee is someone who you will be not surprised to see receive it. So I first met this elected official when we were both candidates in 2016. So I made my first bid for office for a state legislature, and he was running for Congress. We met actually Sanjeev in diaspora at a panel. And he gave me some advice. He gave me advice about how I needed to be persistent, how I needed to not give up despite the fact that whether it's the phone call you make or the door that you knock, a lot of people are going to say no. They're going to say maybe you're not the right fit for this district. And maybe you're not the right profile for the candidate who could win. But you got to stick with it, because you have talent and you have something to offer to your community, and your community as a whole will be better for your service. So that stuck with me after I lost, and he actually won and got elected to Congress. I know this because while I was looking for a job after, he called me and he said, "Neil, can you contribute $1,000 to my reelection?" I said, "I don't have a job yet, I'm unemployed." And he said, "How's 250? But he taught me very early on that you got to keep focused on your mission. You got to keep focused on your goals if you're going to achieve them and if you're going to serve. And of course, you all know I'm talking about Raja Krishnamoorthi. You know who I'm talking about. Just to roast him a little bit. But I got a job. I worked at a law firm working on the opioid cases, fighting for communities that were afflicted by the crisis, and other issues of addiction, where companies profited from addicting children, for example, to e-cigarettes at the time. And, one of my proof points of being Indian American is that whenever there's a flavor available in mango, I choose it. All my friends notice this. It reminds me of Fruity, if you know Fruity. So there's one place where mango is really not a good flavor that should exist, and it's in e-cigarettes. And this company, Juul, was selling e-cigarettes in mango-flavored and addicting millions of children. There was a time in 2018 where 30% of high school students were vaping and buying these products. But then came Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. So I was involved in that issue, and I went to every member of Congress on the Oversight Committee and told them this story of what was happening. They all ignored me, didn't get any responses. One office, I met with a junior staffer. Raja replied within 5 minutes to the email, added his now Chief of Staff, Brian. Within weeks, had a hearing, dragged in the CEO who had become a billionaire off of addicting these children. And within days of that, the Trump White House announced a ban on flavored e-cigarettes across the country. And now, it led to this beautiful moment where Trump was in the Oval Office with the First Lady, and he said, I care about this issue of e-cigarettes because, she has a son. I mean, we have a son, and he was able to persuade even President Trump at the time. But I'll tell you, in those 6 years, we've now gone from 30% of kids using these products to now 6%. And that's because of the work that Raja's done. So that's just one issue. Raja's been a fighter for ethics, for integrity. He fought public corruption in Illinois, and now he's a leader on the bill to ban stock trading amongst members of Congress. He's someone who's been a leader in the TikTok divestment bill. He's been a leader in making sure that our country remains competitive globally. And you'll hear his story and how he knows that it's because of his background, being an immigrant, being an Indian American, fighting for the American dream, starting in a place where his family relied on Medicaid, relied on food stamps that are now being cut and taken away from millions of families. He's someone who is a fighter to ensure that that opportunity exists not just for our community, but for every person in our country. And that's something that we can be incredibly proud of. And I'm excited, as Deepak said, that because of that hard work, because of that persistence, that resilience, that commitment to service, Raja is poised, with our help and everyone in this room, to become the next U.S. Senator from the state of Illinois. So I'm very proud that we're going to honor, for the first time this year, a member of Congress with the Dalip Singh Saund Award, and that is Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. Come on up.
Good evening. It's really one of my biggest honors to receive this award. I see his portrait every single day in the Capitol, and I look at it wondering what he faced when he first started out, and to receive an award in his name is such a high privilege. So thank you. I should tell you that it's an honor to be with you. As I like to say, it's an honor to be any place they can pronounce my name correctly. When I first ran for office, when I ran for Congress, someone said to me, Raja Krishnamoorthi, where did you get that funny name and what does it mean? So I said, it's very simple. Translated from an ancient Indian language, it means Congressman for the 8th District of Illinois. And so I'm just so honored to be here. I want to observe those 3 rules of public speaking: be short, be sweet, and be gone. So 3 points. Give a big round of applause to Deepak Raj, Neil Makija, Chintan. I can't hear you. I can't say enough good things about these people. They're some of the, and the board as well, just some of the finest people you're ever going to meet. And just for the record, Neil, I think I asked you for $300. But in all seriousness, Neil, Commissioner, congratulations on your success. Deepak, as Cory Booker said, you are immortal. And you're the light and the impact of your work is going to go on for decades based on everything that you've done so far. So thank you. Second point I want to make. Desis have arrived in the United States. I have to tell you this. So I got a BS in mechanical engineering. Some people say I practice the BS part now. But I like to talk about statistics, and one of the most interesting statistics comes from the census, the 2020 census. And in that 2020 census, it's just a fascinating compilation of information, especially about Indian Americans. I'll just tell you a few. One is that the Indian American community is the fastest growing ethnic community in the United States. It's the best educated community. It's the most prosperous community, and it's some of the best looking people I've ever seen. Okay, that was not in the census. But then some other analyses were done about desis, and you have to know about this. Okay? 10% of all doctors are desi. 60% of all hotel rooms are owned by desis. 10% of all patents are owned by desis. 28 of the last 34 national spelling bee champions were desi. I was not one of them. But if you want to spell success, you spell it D-E-S-I, desi. Am I right about that? You have arrived. The community has arrived in this country. But now this community strives to figure out, okay, what is the next step? What do we do? Well, this is my third and final point. It's a little more extended. It has to do with what do we do next? There's an old saying in Washington, D.C., which is if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. One of those tables is the United States Senate. I think it's time to pull up a seat to that table. What about you? And the reason is my backstory. My backstory is very simple. I was born in India. I came to this country when I was 3 months old to Buffalo, New York. Things were going great until suddenly my father lost his income in the early 1970s. That recession hit him like a ton of bricks. But thanks to the generosity of the American people, we were allowed to move into public housing and food stamps. So I spent a good portion of my childhood in those two life-sustaining programs. My father was able to get on his feet and later on get a great job in, of all places, Peoria, Illinois. They loaded up the U-Haul truck and drove until they reached Peoria. And that's really where they entered the middle class. And pretty much every night at the dinner table, my father would say, think of the greatness of this country. Think of the greatness of this country, and whatever the two of you do, my brother and me, just make sure it's there for the next families who need it. So that became the North Star of my personal compass. Fast forward through college and law school, came back to Illinois. I worked in the private sector, then I entered Illinois government. I helped to start the anti-corruption unit of the Illinois Attorney General's office. Business was good. Business was very good. These were the Rod Blagojevich years. Full employment for all prosecutors in Illinois. I became deputy state treasurer, ran a very small business, and then got elected to my current position as a United States congressman. 5 terms later, I'm still pursuing that mission statement given to me by my parents. Make sure this country is there for the next families who need it. My district is the 8th district of Illinois, and these people are some of the finest people in the United States. The one thing that they share in common is they can't pronounce my name. However, there's an incredible diversity of that district and has one of the biggest concentrations of Indian Americans of any congressional district anywhere in the country. It has so many that my oldest boy, his name is Vijay. He was on a team of 8 people, 5 of whom were desi, and both coaches were desi. And so someone said to me, Deepak, Raja, that team must be very bad. And I said, no, you don't understand. Every other team in this league looks the same. And so it's very fair and balanced, just like Fox News. And so this particular district, which, by the way, is the vast majority of which is white Caucasian, elected me to Congress because they wanted someone to fight for their values. And those values are the ones that we've been talking about here at Impact today. Now, what are those values? They have to do with the American dream. They have to do with the American dream, the idea that everyone has, in America, everybody has the right to pursue their potential, regardless of whether they're working poor, middle class, growing a business, and regardless of the color of their skin, how they pray, whom they love, or the number of letters in their name. There are 29 in mine. That particular American dream is now slipping from the grasp of millions of people. Millions of people, especially during this economic chaos of Donald Trump. And so we're left with the question, what kind of a government do we want? What kind of a government do we want? Do we want a government that's there for those fighting to make it? Or do we want a government that's primarily catering to those who have it made? I say we have to fight as Indian Americans and as all Americans for a government that's trying to cultivate the American dream for everyone. Are you with me on this? This is non-negotiable. But that dream is under attack. And you can just see it in my own personal story. That legal immigration system that enabled all of us to come to this country is being dismantled every single day. The public housing and food stamps is on the chopping block now. And that those public schools are under threat as Donald Trump seeks to actually close the Department of Education. And so now we're left with two choices. We either roll over or we fight. I say we fight. We have no choice. We have to fight. We have to fight in the courts. We have to fight in the press. We have to fight in the court of public opinion. We have to fight in the halls of Congress. And yes, we have to fight in the United States Senate. And so I am pursuing the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate in Illinois in 2026 to preserve, protect, and defend the American dream from mortal assault by Donald J. Trump. We have to do everything in our power right now to band together. Because although, as I mentioned earlier and as Deepak mentioned as well, there are differences among us, what binds us, I believe, is the belief that that American dream must be accessible. It must be accessible. It is the light. It is the light and the set of aspirations that hold us together more than anything else. And so I hope to be successful. I am so grateful for your support. And together, we are going to break the brown glass ceiling in the United States Senate, once and for all. I just want to close by saying thank you to all of you for your activism, for your energy, for your talent, for your vision. But I also want to say thank you to the founders of Impact, because I would not be here but for your work. So thank you again. And thank you to all of you. Thank you so much.